Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Percy. So today I have come back to you with, once again, I have dirty fingernails. I have been tie-dyeing like on a rampage now that my summer is almost over and I'm not working anymore. It's like I want to do all these summer activities, but you know how it goes. So I'm sorry about my dirty fingernails. I tried really hard to get the dye out, but I've dyed about like 5 shirts. So whatever. So guys, we're gonna learn how to draw another princess today. And looking at all the comments and everything, I've seen a big surplus of comments asking for Snow White. So today, I'm going to teach you how to draw Snow White. First, what we're going to do is, of course, lay out our wonderful face. And what we're going to do is, you're going to go ahead, you're going to draw this top line right here. Alright, and then what you're going to do is, you're going to go ahead and from the top over here, you're going to bring it down and stop. And then what you're going to do is, you're going to curve inward, stop, and then you're going to come up and you're going to connect right here, because her face in this particular image is kind of like turned to the side, you know, typical Snow White stance. She's adorable and got the most annoying voice in the world, but whatever. So anyways, after we make this face, let's go ahead and start laying out some guidelines of where we're going to start putting stuff and everything. The thing about Snow White is she does have a very round face, and so eventually we're going to make her cheeks round, her chin round and everything, and all that fun stuff. Okay, what we're gonna do is, you're gonna come down right here and we're gonna go ahead and lay out our eyes. So here's our bottom eye line, and then I've got my top eye line gonna go right over here, okay? After that, let's go ahead, and you know how I always say that face is a puzzle. I wanna go ahead and just like start placing the face around these lines and everything, and just putting the puzzle together. So, we have an eyebrow off to the side right here. So this eyebrow comes off to the side and then goes off to the side of the forehead. Off the side of the forehead, I mean. Alright, and then what you're going to do is, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to come inside, just a little bit inside my eyebrow right here. I'm going to come down, and I'm going to go like that. Okay, obviously we just made our nose ridge. So from right there, what I'm going to do is, since I have this line that's eventually going to connect to her eye and everything, I'm going to come right down right here. And Snow White has a very interesting nose. It's very round, so I'm going to just make a nice little round line right there for right now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up from right here and make a little bit of an indent of a nostril right here. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here and I'll make another little nostril, and it looks like a little, just a little rainbow almost. And then from right here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just make a line leading from that nostril and up. See what I did there? I went ahead and I made this little area right here. Okay, and then I went ahead and I made an arch from that little bit of her nose ridge right there. After that, I went down just a little bit and I made a little itty bitty arch right here. Okay, and then from this little arch, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to curve up and connect to this top arch over here. Okay? After that, what of course I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, she's got a little bit of an eyelid hiding back behind here, so I'm going to go make a little eyelid right there at the top. Okay, and then I'm going to jump inside her eye, not literally, and I'm going to go ahead and give her her nice little iris. And it's nice, not totally taking up, not totally touching the bottom eyelid, and just kind of off to the side. Okay. Alright, and then after that, of course, she's got very distinct clumpy eyelashes. Literally, like she has these very, very pointy, spiky eyelashes. But that's okay, because that's totally in, right? Okay. And just go down here. I'm going to make her bottom eyeliner line a little bit darker. Okay. And of course, we'll get to the shine in the pupil a little bit later. Alright, and then now after that, since I have this side of her face laid out, I'm going to jump over here and just kind of like make a ghost lines of where, ghost guidelines, that's nice, but where we're going to go from here. So I want to put her eye, we're going to put her eye right in this area over here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to come down from right here, alright, and then I'm going to curve down. So I just made like, you know, another little archway. It looks like a nice round bridge. Okay. She does have very round eyes, and I mean her eyes are still in the shape of almonds and everything, and I mean she looks a lot like Jasmine to me, and of course all Disney princesses somewhat look like each other. So Rapunzel and Anna. So anyways, I'm gonna come from over here. I just made this like this little bit of a rainbow shape going on right here. So then I'm gonna come from the corner of this rainbow shape and I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna just curve inward towards this eye. Okay, I'm not going to connect because her eyelid, of course, has got a little bit of a distinct almond shape. So I'm going to come from right here and I'm just going to curve a little bit right here. Okay, and then of course these two will connect. Then after we laid out our shape of our eye and everything, let's go ahead and jump inside of her eye and give her her iris. Once again, nice, good, round pupil. Okay, so as you can see, it's once again, it's not touching the bottom eye line too much, not touching the corner too much, but it's completely connected to her eyelash at the top of her eyeline. All right, so once again, we have a little bit of an eyelid over here, so I'm going to come back over here and make a little eyelid right there. All right, and then of course once again we do have our clumpy eyelashes, so I'm gonna make this nice and dark up here. Okay, and then we've got our eyelashes, which are very clumpy, so I'm gonna just make my little spikes, and you can give her as many as you want. There's not a distinct number, but once again they're just dark, clumpy. And that's the way you can tell that they are Snow White's eyes. So, okay, after that, once we have our eyes, so let's go ahead and give them a little bit of shine. So I'm gonna have a little bit of shine right here, and of course a little bit of shine right here. And then I'm gonna jump inside, and what I'm gonna do is a lot like I did with my anime eyes. If you watch my Jack Frost tutorial, I'm getting better. Then I do this method where I start at the eye, top of the eye, very dark. Okay, and then it's nice and light as I progress down. Okay, but of course we gotta give a little bit of an indentation of a pupil. It just blends in nice, and Snow White has brown eyes. Since she does have very dark eyes, she's a lot different than the other princesses we have been drawing, which all have had blue eyes so far. Yeah, I've only taught blue-eyed. No, Belle has brown eyes. We did the same with Belle. All right. There we go. Nice, pretty, and shaded. And I'm gonna come in and give a nice, good, like, line around the eyes. All right. One of the most important parts that actually wake her up is her lips. So let's go ahead and figure out where we're gonna place our lips and all. All right. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna come down just a little bit. I'm gonna make a little line right here, and of course, from this line of her part of her nose, I'm gonna make a little upside down rainbow. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to drag out this part just a little bit, and then I'm going to come over here, I'm going to drag it out just to right here too. Okay, now after that, what I want to do is I want to come off to the side right here and give her a little bit of a dimple right there. See it? Okay, so eventually we know that both of our lines are going to end up over there. Just okay, so what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to come down right from the middle of this area, come down, curve out, and then I'm going to start curving in. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and keep following through with this, and I'm going to curve in, and I'm going to go up, and I'm just going to go right to here. As you see, I've curved like upward and into this part right here. Even though this side is still part of her lips, it's still part of her dimple and everything, so we need to leave that and not give her as much distinction of that part of her lip. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come inside right here. I'm going to curve up, and I'm going to curve down and up. Okay, see, I just connected that bottom lip line, okay? And then I'm going to come inside right here. I'm just going to curve inward. Make this nice and curved top line, nice and curved. That way we still have a nice pretty smile. And then I'm going to come down here and make her lips a little bit more. Alright, after I gave a good like distinction of my lips, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to just shadow it a bit. So it's nice and dark over here where her head is turned to the side, and it's nice and light over to this area. All right. Okay. I didn't give her a top eyebrow over here. Eyebrows are important, very important. So from right over here, what you're gonna do is I'm gonna draw a line right here at the top. Okay. Right here, I drew a little dot. And I'm just gonna, it's nice, not thick eyebrows at all, very pencil-y. Pencil line, very interesting. Okay, now what I want to do next is all right, her face, like I said, it's very round, so it's kind of throwing me off that she's all pointy and stuff. So what I'm going to do is from right here, of course her hairline is going to start from right here. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and give her that one hairline, and you're going to curve upward and then down. Okay, but then of course her forehead's gonna stay regularly the same, kind of same. Okay, so from right here, from where her hairline, because her hair is over here, but it's nice and round, I'm gonna make it nice and round coming inward towards her eye, and then I'm gonna go outward. And then I'm gonna go ahead and go inward. And then I'm gonna curve upward, nice round chin. Still nice round face. Okay, and then of course we can round this out just a little bit. And then of course we can give her the indentation of her ear, because her hair does cover her ear. Okay, alright, so we already identified this as her part, and yes, it's true, that's gonna be her part. So what I'm gonna do from this middle area, I'm gonna come upward. And then I'm going to cross over this line at the top of her forehead. I'm going to cross over. And I'm going to come down off to the side right here. Okay, and then I'm going to come inside right here. I'm going to go over that line where we said that's her ear. Alright, curve inward right there. Okay, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to come up, and I want to go ahead and at least finish this side of her hair. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to come up from right here, right off to the side, because her bow is going to eventually end up right here. So we're going to come off right here and curve inward. And then you're going to curve out from, you're going to go completely behind her head, almost. Right there. Not completely, my bad. But you're going to kind of go in there, alright? So then you're going to come out. And then this part's going to, of course, go down and tuck right back in behind her head. Okay? Alright, then after that, what you're going to do is, let's go ahead and get to her bow. So here's her bow, right up here. And, okay, so we have the top of this part right here, and we know her bow is going to go right over here. So I'm just going to give it a ghost line from right here, and a ghost guideline from right here, and a ghost guideline from right here, okay? Now, from the bow, what I want to do is, I don't want to confuse you, so I do want to go ahead, and I want to keep going with my hair. So here's my guidelines of bows, and we'll get back to it later. So, what I want to do is I'm going to come back to this part, which starts from right here, and I'm going to come up. Alright. So what I did is I went from my bow, and I drew a line kind of mirroring the top of this just a little bit, and you know how it curves down, okay? Then I'm going to go from right here, I'm just going to go through the bow actually, and I know that her hairline is coming back behind here, behind her bow. So I'm going to go through her bow, since they're guidelines, and I'm going to go behind it. Of course, I'm going to continue off to this side, and I'm going to start to curve inward. I'm just going to curve inward right there, okay? Now from this line, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to come out from over here. Make one giant lump right here. And then one giant lump right here, and of course it goes behind her neck, which we haven't drawn yet, but we will get to it. That way you see how it all symmetrically connects together, and you can see everything, okay? Alright, let's go ahead and finish our bow. So, the middle of the bow is kind of, it's right. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come off to this side of the bow, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go whoop right there and connect it down. See that? That's just part of the bow. That's the ribbon that's being tucked behind her big lump of bangs or whatever. So what I'm going to do from this side of the bow right here is I'm going to come upward, and then I'm going to come down, and of course I'm going to jump inside right here. Just make it, it doesn't have to be too much looking like a bow. It's a very round bow. So I'm going to just jump inside, and I'm going to get rid of these guidelines so you see what I just did. Okay. And then I'm going to jump inside right here, and I'm going to make it a little bit more square-like and just round off right here. And make this a little bit rounder and come up, almost touching right there. Okay, and then I'm going to come back behind here. I'm going to come up, and of course this part's going to go inward. And of course I'm going to come up here off the side and then connect down. Nice and round. Shade it up just a little bit. Of course this is red and her hair is black, so it's a lot of contrast and color and saturation issues going on here. Okay, so after that, let's go ahead and give our Snow White a neck and at least a top to her collar and the top to her dress, so she just doesn't look like a floating head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back behind her chin right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to bring down this part of her neck just a little bit. Little piece of her neck right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back from right here, this piece of her neck right here, and I'm going to go downward, just downward right there. Okay, stop. And of course I'm going to come back over to here. From her ear, she does have a neckline, so I'm going to come, here's her ear right here. I'm going to bring down her neck, and I'm going to curve it inward slightly and curve outward slightly right there. And go ahead, get rid of that hairline. Okay, and then of course I'm going to come from right here, this part of her neck, I'm going to go outward, and then I'm going to curve off to the side right here, and of course I'm going to come from where I drew this line, I'm going to come right about there, and then I'm just going to go straight down and connect to her neckline right here. Okay. And then of course what's shaping around her head and her neck is her big giant white collar. So I'm going to come from right here, I'm going to curve up and then back behind her hair, nice and round. So I just went up and over, so it looks like a weird looking hook almost. And then of course if you want to, you can. I'll probably just do it a little bit. I'm going to lightly go through her head. I know it sounds wrong, but I'm going to go through her head just lightly. I'm trying to see how, so I can have a good symmetrical finish. How it's round. Okay, so here's my other side of my collar, and it's going to come outward right here. It's going to curve inward to her hair, into her face, towards her face, I mean, not into her face. Towards her face, down. And then I'm going to come up from the corner, and I'm going to, as I get closer to the top, I'm going to curve outward, but I am going to connect right there. Okay? And then of course I'm going to go in, I'm going to get rid of that ghost guideline of her collar. Alright, and then of course, since we have her collar, there is a lot of shading. This is hiding behind her head. So lots of shading going on back behind her head. So as you can see that what I do just to show like she's not just a floating collar and everything, I just went ahead and I closed off this area right here, and then I came off to the side and then closed off this area right here just to show that here's her blue bodice. And of course her yellow stripe that's going down the middle of her dress. So at least the bodice of her dress, at least. And then her skirt's yellow. Okay, but here you go, guys. Here is another Disney princess, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I absolutely love Snow White. She's one of my favorites. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I already said that. Okay. But yes, as always, leave in the comments below who you would like me to draw next. I think I'm gonna keep going on with the Disney princess theme and just eventually teach you all the Disney princesses. And I think next week will be Aurora. And yeah, so yeah, have a wonderful week, guys. I love you. I'll see you later. Bye.